does work to help the religion of Islam and the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a great blessing for us, inshallah, to have people who have taken this path in our midst and to learn from them, inshallah ta'ala. Uddin finished his hifz at a young age and proceeded to complete his Western education. Afterwards, he went to South Africa to study the Alim course and do his iftar course. Afterwards, he returned to the US and served as an imam in Frankfurt for some time, and afterwards him and his brother and father began the journey of founding Dar es Salaam Masjid and Seminary. So, a brief introduction to our program, inshallah ta'ala, is as we continue to endure and witness the society around us devolve into a level of degeneracy that is very, very alarming for people of our faith and our mindset and temperament, we cannot simply stand by and continue to complain and throw our hands in the sky and blame each and every other person to our left and right for the situation and never think and come together and brainstorm solutions for these issues. So the mindset behind this program is, inshallah ta'ala, we can sit together and gain beneficial knowledge and practical steps from Mufti Sahib on how we can protect ourselves from these fatalities, these tests that we see around us, and also, most importantly, how can we save our children from these very, very problematic ideologies that are spreading around us. So, inshallah ta'ala, we have sent out a link for the Google form for any of the questions you may have. And we have also created a Slido, which is another platform for which you can send in your questions. And I have the number for that here. You can go to slido.com and enter this number and you can send in your questions to inshallah. And that number is, first of all, the spelling is slido.com, and the number you enter is 1516830. Inshallah ta'ala, if you have any questions, you can enter 1516830, or you can put it on our Google form that we sent the link out to. So, to begin, inshallah ta'ala, I want to ask Mufti Sahib the first question, which was, so just as a brief rundown on Dar es Salaam and the vision of Dar es Salaam, I want to ask where did the vision for Dar es Salaam come from, and what steps were taken to begin the madrasa?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم وبشر في صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا الا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا الا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا الا ما علمتنا اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا. اما بعد. So before I begin, I request inshallah the youngsters in the back, if you can please come forward. The rest of us also, let's sit as close as possible without any gaps. You can take a step forward. Allah reward you for taking the time out on this Friday evening to come in the masjid. If you can please step forward and sit close together, that would be great. There's wall space here as well. If someone needs to lean against the wall, by all means, if you can use these front walls, that would be great. Let us try to sit in the first 2-3 rows, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairah for your sacrifice and your effort. May Allah make this step that you are taking to the front, may He make these steps towards paradise. Ameen ya rabbal alameen. So there are, many things that anyone ask us questions in the book as well. Any questions? Okay. So we have about 40 minutes or so. We'll try our best to be as concise and to the point, and as relevant as possible to all those who are present. So in a nutshell, Dar es Salaam's vision about providing It's called, providing authentic scholarship in a contemporary form. So you are using the model of Rasulullah's masjid as a place of learning, as a place of spirituality, as a place of service, trying to ensure that while we speak the language of the land over here and speak and connect with our generation, with the cultural norms and things of that sort, I'm keeping all that into context, ensuring that we are also firmly rooted in the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's sunnah. So this aspect of having a program, or rather I should say a community, prophetic community, that is our attempt to reflect the community of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this modern day and age. That community has many things. What is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's community about? It is a community that is offering Nabawi, prophetic education to all sectors of the community, young, old, men, and women. It is a community that addresses head-on the challenges that people are facing within their homes, in their workplaces, as well as in their places of education. It is a community that enriches and prepares people to become successful, not only in terms of akhirah, but also to the best of their ability to become successful in whatever field they choose to excel in this world in terms of their profession. And the list goes on. So when I graduated and came back, there were so many different things I had in mind that I wanted to do. Initially we said, let us recreate a type of school that we studied at in South Africa, a boarding school, 700 students from 70 plus countries. And we said, let's try to create that. So we ran that for about 6 years. Even before I came back, my brother and my sister ran it in KPK. And after we came back, after a year or so, we realized that, this is not the model that we feel is the best. Because there's a number of flaws with this. In America, at that time, if we focus on dorming students, then we are focused all day on dorming students, while the vast majority of the people are going to be completely left behind. We won't be able to work on their parents, their siblings, their cousins, and the rest of the community. That's one issue. Number two is that people, they send their children to seminaries and madrasas, but that's not where the community gathers. The community gathers where? In the masjid. So you have to have a masjid, which is the heartbeat and the central markaz of the community is the masjid. So we have to build a masjid and provide an example that this is how, because madrasas are ulama, but how many masjids are ulama? So I was an imam, as I mentioned, my brother's an imam elsewhere. A lot of things that we had to do or were seen doing that is completely against what we were taught. And said, well, this is not what we studied 8 years for, to go rubber stamp things that we are absolutely don't feel are correct. Because that's what happens when you're an employee. And you just have to go with the flow. I tell you, the ummah is beautiful. The ummah, you all are amazing people. You will do what has been explained to you. But if the people who are explaining it distort it, it's not your fault. You're going to get a distorted image. You're like, okay, I guess that's what deen is. So mashallah, I love the ummah. Wherever I go, I've seen just hope. Great things. People are amazing. But what they need is a model to see how do you have a masjid when it's run by scholars. And provide, because you know why a lot of imams might say, I wish I could do that, but my hands are tied behind my back. I want to do this program, I want to do this, I want to do that, but I can't do it because of restrictions from the board, etc., etc. We said, why not just build a masjid, right? And build a masjid, run it the way our teachers taught us to run institutions, and provide this as an example that people can come, hopefully they will enjoy, benefit, and they'll replicate it in the programs from it in other parts of the country. So when we were fundraising for it, I would go to not only homes, but I would go to universities. I would go to UIC, Loyola, Northwestern, Benedictine, and sit with the students after my speeches, and I would say, this is a masjid that we're building for the youth, by the youth. I want to hear what you've got to say. What is the ideal masjid in your mind should look like? What are the type of programs that the youth would want? And alhamdulillah, through the culmination of a lot of years of effort, input, of course, opinions, and then the masjid opened up its doors in 2013. But before the masjid opened, we had already started the ground level work of starting up our classes. So 2008, we started our first year's program, which Hafiz Adisa here, mashallah, is restarting up here. That's the basic bare bones, got to start off with that. So we started our Hifz class, and then shortly after that, I saw what I alluded to in my khutbah, that I'm seeing young Muslims leaving the fold of Islam. And I'm like, okay, Hifz program is great, but how do we stop this crazy craziness of young Muslims leaving Islam. What are we going to do? Why are people attending an Islamic school for 12 years, thousands of dollars in tuition, and hundreds of hours of Islamic education? Why is it when they hit university, they choose to leave Islam? Which is something we never saw 30 years ago. You don't have to go to Islamic school. Your mom and dad and many of the adults here never attended Islamic school. You attended Catholic schools, you attended Hindu schools, you attended Christian schools, you attended whatever, secular schools. But you didn't need to attend an Islamic school to remain a Muslim. Today, we're seeing that Islamic school itself, as important as it is, but we're seeing that number of people leaving Islam after having graduated from Islamic school, Sunday school, and even unfortunately, Hifz school. So that's where in 2008, along with Hifz school, I said we need to starting educational programs that address the very reason why these youth are leaving Islam or have left Islam. And I can kind of give you the gist of two things, or rather three things. One is shubuhat, doubts of Islam, doubts in Islam. One is shahawat, falling into their lustful desires, not being able to say no to the temptation of sin. Third thing is not having a good structure at home. Nuclear family or just the family itself. Nuclear family. You don't find an equivalency of this in Islam, the word nuclear family. When you say usra or aila or ahlu, there's no such thing as a nuclear family, because why? For Muslims, there's not like me, myself, me, my wife, and my kids. That's it, we're one family. It's not like that. We have such a huge importance on arham. That we don't feel even inheritance is specific. Is it only between husband, wife, and the kids? No. So this whole concept, even nuclear family is being broken down now, big time in this country. But even the concept of a nuclear family is un-Islamic. It's supposed to be we're a whole khanan, we're a whole tribe, we're a whole qawm. We're on Prophet's time, throughout the Prophet's time until today. Until we came to this country. And then everyone's on their own. No one knows the other person, everyone's living on their own, separated from their families, etc. Some overseas. So when this nuclear family also breaks down, and the relationship between kids and children, parents and children is falling apart, there's not a relationship that a student is understanding 60-70% of the Quran. Is able to pick up a good solid, let's say, book like Tafsir ibn Kathir and be able to read it in Arabic. Is able to deliver Jum'ah khutbahs, is able to perform, nikah, is able to do a janazah procedure, is able to answer questions posed by atheists, is able to explain Islam to someone who is creating doubts about the faith, is able to explain the seerah of the Prophet, especially those aspects of the seerah where Islamophobes attack. Right? To help be able to understand that. So Aqidah, Seerah, Fiqh, Tajweed, Tazkiyah. We have a mentorship program. Every single week they're leading a mentor. You're trying to work on getting rid of your bad habits. You're trying to work on creating good habits. You're creating a dhikr regiment. And the list goes on. Tons and tons of things, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, ta'ala, the first year, we were just going to do the one-year program. And these graduating students, they said, we're not leaving. You have to offer a second year. I said, brother, this is a one-year program only. He said, no. We have to do another year. So basically, organically, it moved on to the second year, and moved on to the third year, and the fourth year, and the fifth year, and the sixth year, and the seventh year. And then postgraduate 2-year program. So now, alhamdulillah, it's a full 9 year, 7 plus 2, 9-year program. And we still have a standalone 1-year program, which obviously these years are graduate of, one of the maybe second or third batch. And alhamdulillah, so now people can come in for just the summer, for 3 weeks Quranic Arabic, which starts on Monday, or can take the Deen Intensive, which just finished last Friday, 4 weeks, or can take the 1-year program, which will start August 14th, which will be our 11th batch, or can move on and do the entire 7-year program. The goal is not to have the whole country come to us, because we cannot accommodate people, that many people. We've actually, subhanAllah, this year cut down. There are how many people are accommodating. So there's now a big waiting list from this year onwards. Simply because we wanted to ensure that our quantity does not take away our quality. So what we want masajid and people like yourselves is to have a similar type of programs. If you are in drivable distance, or you can come, mashallah, by the time your masjid sets it up, you can come and study. But I have a method. The way we run things, it's very, as long as you have 2 committed teachers, you don't need any expense. You can run this masjid, is more than sufficient to have a class of 30 students here. Right? You just need to have 2 committed teachers who know what they're talking about, come and spend, for example, 3-4 days with us, see the whole thing, and then say, you know what, we're going to offer it to our community. Now in Chicago, yes, to have 2 1-year programs, might be a little bit challenging. But I don't mind. My goal, my wish and desire is every masjid, every community should have their own standalone summer programs and one-year programs. I was very happy to hear Hamas first started a summer program, or has a summer program running at the moment. I'm not sure it's finished or it's still running. Just finished, okay. So that's a good direction to start in. So I hope that sums it up. The idea is to start providing quality education to people of all walks of life, especially to our younger generation, package it in a manner that they're willing to take it, and address real issues that they're facing. Now you have to strike that balance. What is that balance? Someone says, speak about real issues. Okay, but I'm going to speak about real issues rooted in what? Rooted in Quran and Sunnah. You have to root it in Quran and Sunnah. If you speak about real issues and you throw in Quran and Sunnah, well, that's not going to help. Alhamdulillah, Quran and Hadith has, and only Quran and Hadith has the solutions to all of our problems. Wallahi, it does. We were just sitting with a chaplain here from the Navy. We were discussing very openly about all these issues. And the Christians and the Jews and the Hindus all are crying over their empty churches, empty places of worship. They're losing membership. Everyone across the board is suffering. Who's got the solution? You and I do. Islam has a solution. We have a solution to any faith group that wants to come and find it. Alhamdulillah, the solution lies there. So my advice to fathers over here, mothers over here, is that you have to tell your kids, you can go study wherever you want, whatever you want, no problem. But part of your education has to be that you got to take time out to study your deen. Man rabbuk, ma dinuk, ma taqulu fi hadha ar-rajul. 3 questions of the grave. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And what do you say about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This is the 3 questions that we all have to answer. 20 years of college education, if you don't know how to answer these 3 questions, I'm sorry, in the eyes of Allah, you are jahil. You are ignorant, and you will face repercussions the night you die. And so will I. And if you don't know anything else, but you know how to answer these 3 questions of the grave, then inshallah, I promise you will be successful throughout your life, and more importantly, in the grave and the hereafter. That 3 questions, they don't teach that, by the way, in the Ivy League school, the answers to them. They don't teach that in public high school. They don't teach that, unfortunately, sometimes in even so-called Islamic schools. That is something you need to take time out to teach your kids. Start teaching it at a young age, but then take time out after 17 years, after finishing high school, before they head out to college, is, I would say, the good time for them to take a sabbatical gap year and study. Alhamdulillah, I'm sure all of you are hearing, slowly this is becoming more common, even within the Mormon community, is very common. Everyone, all Mormons, about 35,000 Mormons every single year go off for not 1 year, 2-year program. Right? You're aware of this? It's a 2-year program that the Mormons have to go through. Similarly, the more conservative Jewish schools will have what they call the midras, where they go right after high school, they will go and spend time learning the Torah and learning how to follow that in this modern day and age. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us deen. We also should be committed to learning our faith, and let's not be apathetic and relaxed, as Anissa just mentioned. That these are issues happening, it won't happen in my time, or it won't happen to my kids. No. Like the virus of atheism, agnosticism, and all the other isms is a virus that every single son and daughter of ours, unfortunately, I say, will be infected with. It's just a matter of when. It's a matter of when. Is it 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, first year of college, second year of college? When will our children be exposed to this? We as much as we wish they don't get exposed to it, but the sad reality is they will be. Now we simply should accept that as that's what's going to happen, and we have to ensure our children are ready for that.
So, you mentioned that for battling these issues, we're battling the shubuhat, the shahwat, right? And then the a'ilah, the family. So, focusing in on this particular aspect, how can we develop in our homes a Quranic, Islamic environment based on the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, starting from zero? Maybe somebody might feel this is a hard task or a foreign task. How would you recommend for us to begin that within our homes with our children?
Okay, the mom and dad, it starts all with the mom and dad. I sometimes reflect, many times, not sometimes, many times reflect how I was raised. I'm a complete product, I'm not a product of South Africa as much as a product of my parents. The environment that was gifted to me in the 80s in Kankakee, Illinois, When our house was the only masjid of the entire county. You heard that right. Our house was the masjid of the entire county. For Eid, for Jum'ah, for daily Salah. The environment that my parents, who are both physicians, what type of Islamic environment they gave me at home is something I can never thank them enough for. And that's when I look at it, I said, what was it? It was my mom and dad taking the deen serious to say, we will make sacrifices. We don't know much. We're not madrasa graduates, we're Catholic school graduates. We don't know much. But what we know is these 4 kids we have, they're our amana. And we have to make sure we raise them properly. So we will learn with them in order to give them the very best. So moms and dads have to be on board. The children are going to be running around all the time. They're going to be running around in their roller skates, and after they're running around on their bicycles, and then after they're running around in their own cars. It's mom and dad who have to sit down and say, you know what, let's all come together. How does mom and dad do these family vacations to Turkey, to the Bahamas, and to Hawaii? How is everyone, mashallah, 12 people, 6 people flying together, all happening? How is that happening? Because who's paying for it? Mom and dad are paying for it. Come on, let's go, let's pack up and let's go for a 3-week summer vacation. Well, that same type of commitment has to be for the Islamic tarbiyah at home. The mom and dad have to say that we can do whatever we want, but half an hour a day, I'm going to be running a madrasa at home. And I'm going to be a student as well. We're all going to, what are we going to do? For example, the first and foremost thing is that recitation of the Quran must happen in every home. We have to collectively recite the Quran. Collectively. For that, moms and dads need to be comfortable reading Quran. So if you say, I feel shy, I don't know how to read Quran, well, guess what? You need to learn. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? You can get an online teacher, you can study at work, you can study in the car, you can study after work, but you cannot say, I don't know how to read, hence I'm just going to dump my kids in school. Oh, mashallah, Shaykh Hafiz said you have an adult tajweed class here as well. Alright, so alhamdulillah, so now your kids are studying, parents are studying, right? You're studying at the same time, but the Quranic recitation at home must happen, number 1. Number 2, if there needs to be dhikr at home, dhikrullah is very important. Dhikrullah is very important. This is gone from the houses. We have to have dhikr environment. What is dhikr? There are many hundreds of forms of dhikr. For example, something simple and small. La ilaha illallah 100 times. Astaghfirullah 100 times. Durood Sharif, salawat about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam 100 times. Simple as that. It won't take you more than 4 or 5 minutes. You have the day of Jum'ah like this. The day of Jum'ah, 20 minutes before Maghrib, family sits together. And we do salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ, and then you do dua collectively. One of my teachers, subhanAllah, jazakallah khairah, whenever I call him to request for dua, he says, no problem, today I usually call him on Fridays. And mashallah. And he says on Fridays, and on Fridays, all my kids and family, now his grandkids too. We all sit together in the house, and 20 minutes before Maghrib Salah, everyone sits, recites salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ, and then make dua. Simple as that. So create a spiritual environment at home through recitation of the Quran, through dhikr. Now, dhikr of la ilaha illallah salawat istighfar can be done softly in your heart. But nowadays, everyone's falling asleep on their phones and drifting off. So, there's nothing wrong with doing halaq dhikr a little bit loud. I just came back from Turkey. I was visiting my shaykh, and I was in his company there. He was from Pakistan, but he was visiting Turkey, and I went to spend some time with him. Those of you who went to Istanbul, you know every salah what happens. There's dhikr, right? If you've been to Istanbul recently, for the past 4 or 5 years, every single masjid has dhikr, fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, jum'ah, there's dhikr after salah, and even sometimes between adhan and iqamah. It's so melodious, it's nice. Even the kid who doesn't want to pray, it's just so nice. It's enjoyable. He doesn't want to pray, but hey, you got a nice tune to it. You're taking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name. Let's do it. This is not the time to say, oh subhanAllah, brother, this is wrong. Brother, subhanAllah, what is the alternative? No one said Rasulullah sat there and sang la ilaha illallah. I didn't say that. But the idea is there's nothing wrong with it either. If you're not saying the sunnah, you're just saying simply, we have to do dhikr. You know it, وَدْعُوا رَبَّكُمْ تَضَرُّعًا وَخُفْيًا is there. Remember Allah and supplicate to Allah softly, quietly, that's there. Remember Allah in your heart is there. But then there's also bukrat al-wasila, there's morning and evening. Remember Allah abundantly. So I encourage you to do dhikr at home with a little bit audible tone. So that our children, you know that they are doing the dhikr actually. And you have dhikr online recorded, so many nice dhikrs, la ilaha illallah. Do it with that. Do it in a nice tone that your children will enjoy. And get them into the groove of it. Third thing is reading through some Islamic book. Whether it's a collection of hadith, Riyadh al-Salihin or anything of that likes. Whether it's men and women on the Sahaba, men and women on the Prophet, whether it's a selection of tafsir. Something that we read in which we can reflect upon. We don't need to go to long lectures. One thing very effective is what? Stories. Who says so? Quran says so. That's why Quran is filled with stories, because stories are beneficial. That is why reading from the stories of Sahaba and Sahabiyat. Our children don't know the stories of Sahaba and Sahabiyat. That's why we didn't want to emulate them. Reading the stories of the Salaf, the pious elders. You want to teach etiquette and adab? What's the best way to do that? The best way to teach etiquette is to read and hear stories of the people who had etiquettes. I remember as a child, all the stories, or many stories that my ustad, my mom and dad shared with me, that are still ingrained in my mind. And that I reflect upon when I'm doing certain things, that, hey, that story taught about how this son treated his mother or father. Am I treating my mom and dad like that? So stories is a very effective way of imparting some beautiful knowledge to our kids. And then having an open relationship with our children. Every single child, we need to have a one-on-one as moms and dads. They say, like, have a date with your kid. Saturday mornings with your 2 hour, 1 hour, one daughter. Saturday afternoon with another child. Sunday morning maybe with one son. Wednesday evening with another kid. So every single week you're giving private time to each child separately. And young adult, young children of course, but even when they're 18, 19 years old, in which we get to hear what's on their mind. Right? We allow them to open up and share. And just listen. We don't have to always be talking. We need to listen to what they do. We need to train. We need to make it. The relationship between us and our kids should be such that it's open relationship. Wherever is there on their mind, they can go and spill the beans. They don't need to go online to spill the beans. They can share whatever there is on their mind with us. I want to share with you something very, very interesting. New York Times had an article about 6-7 years ago, maybe 5 years less than that. And they shared a study that said if you want to know what is the most salient characteristic, or what should I say, what's the most obvious sign that a child will remain faithful to the religion in which he was born into? What's a sign? What way can we say, predict that someone is going to remain committed to the religion that they were born into? It's a very interesting study they did. Cross-religions. They said it's not the group of friends they have. It's not the school, church, mosque that they attended. It's not even the Islamic school or Christian school that they attended. Interestingly, according to this study, they said the most important factor was the relationship with their father. The stronger the relationship with the father, the higher the chance that they would remain committed to the faith of their birth, or what they were born into with the parents. And the weaker the relationship, you could say, as we're seeing in the Muslim community, that no matter what type of Islamic education you're getting, if the relationship with the parents, or specifically as I mentioned the father, was weak, then the chance of that child leaving that religion was much, much higher. Very interesting thing. This is what we're talking about over here, is that we as moms and dads have to have a very strong bond with our kids. And in that strong bond, we're listening to what they're about to say, and then we're giving proper feedback. My beloved brothers and fathers and mothers, many times we don't have a relationship at all. Or we have a very bad relationship. Or then we have a good, enjoyable, fun relationship, but in that relationship there's no correction. You want to sit on my head? Sit on my head. You want to pull my ear? Pull my ear. You want to take away, want to just go take my credit card and max it out? You're my son, I love you, do whatever you want. That's not healthy either. We have to set boundaries. When that son does something wrong, who's going to correct him? If I as a dad don't correct my son, who's going to do that? If you as a mother are not going to correct your daughter or son, who's going to do that? So let's not conflate having a good relationship with our kids to basically letting them do whatever they want. Right? It's very important that we put out boundaries. But if you have a loving relationship with them, they are more likely to listen to the boundaries that you are laying down for them.
And that reminds me that one of the common themes of our religion is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breeds a love for the Prophet and a love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over the fear, because love is a more powerful motivator for behavior than fear is. So that's a very potent point that you mentioned. And now that you bring up the relationship with the parents, we've been hearing, unfortunately, the horror stories of, my friends
maktab, the word used maktab, right? This is what we call kuttab in the Arab world. Maktab is like the evening Quran classes, right? Evening Quran and Islamic studies classes. Well, ever since Skype came around, you have a huge industry of Quran teachers available from across the globe. Egypt, Saudi, Pakistan, India, whatever. Which is great service to places where don't have masjids. It's fine. But I want you to understand that sending our children to the masjid for evening classes is far more than just learning how to recite Quran. You can get a one-on-one amazing teacher online. But adab, etiquette, akhlaq, you cannot learn that over the internet. That has to be learned in person at the hands of a teacher. That's what you call mentorship, where children learn how to model after their teachers. That does not happen over a Skype with someone overseas from a different culture, different language. It simply is not going to work like that. We have to ensure that our children stay connected to the house of Allah, which is the place where angels are, where the mercy of Allah descends, and where there are Quran and Islamic studies teachers who are available to teach our children not just how to recite Quran properly, but create within them a foundation of Islamic identity. My beloved brothers and sisters, our young children and adult children go to school for 8 to 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 to 11 months of the year. They're exposed to all of that environment for the vast 1/3 of the day. And then when they come home at 5, some after-school clubs, some basketball, some gym, some this and that. By the time they finish doing their homework, it's 10. How much time are they actually spending with mom and dad and Muslims? 1-2 hours a day? Saturday, Sunday, they still got their friends' work, they got their homework, they got outside things. Again, it's not like we're all sitting around spending time with our kids the whole day on Saturday, Sunday, especially the adolescents. So we are all a product of our environment. If the vast majority of the time they're going to be surrounded by an un-Islamic environment, then what can we expect but that their mentality and their approach to the world will be something that is not necessarily in line with the teachings of Deen. So this is where the daily detox 2 hours in the masjid is necessary. That when they come to the masjid every single day, they're not only getting accustomed to the masjid and falling in love with this place, but they're getting falling in love with Quran and Deen and Deeni teachers. I want to give you an example. When I was recently, not recently, but 4 or 5 years ago, I was teaching the Arabic intensive, Deen intensive, which I was talking about earlier. And there was a young boy, just to give you an example how important maktab is. There was a young boy, 15, 16 years old, who was sitting right in front of this class of 25 plus students. And he was so interested in taking notes, he would write down everything, and anything I would mention in Arabic, he would ask me to, read, not just translation, I want to know it in Arabic. I'd write it for him on the board, he would copy it down. 3 days in, one of the teachers tells me that this boy wants to leave the school and he's no longer going to be coming from tomorrow for the summer program. I meet him outside of the prayer hall, and I said, "Oh, how's everything going?" He said, "Oh, yeah, actually, today's my last day." I was like, "What's wrong?" He said, "Well, whatever." I said, "No, I'd like to know what's wrong." So he said, "Can I speak to you in the office?" I took him into the office, we sat down, and I asked him, "What's wrong?" He said, "I'm no longer interested." I said, I can't buy that. You're such a good kid, sitting in front, every day taking notes. 3rd day in, how can you say you're no longer interested? "Do you really want to know the story?" I said, "Yes, I want to know the real story." He said, "Well, I have become an agnostic. Someone who doesn't believe in any God, right?" He says, "Well, at least I don't know." Agnostic, someone who says, "I don't know if Allah exists or not." And now when this 15-year-old said this to me, I didn't laugh, I didn't scoff, I didn't get angry. I just looked at him and I said, "Oh, when did that happen?" And he said, "Last night." And I said, "What happened last night?" And he said, "Well, last night I was at my bedroom and I ended up watching a debate. After 1.5 hours watching the debate, I was convinced that it's hard for me to truly believe in God exists. So I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time. That's why I'm leaving." Now he's 15 years old. You think his mom and dad know what he watched? No, his mom and dad are very active in the masjid, in the board, in Sunday school, everything. And the mom and dad would probably not know even many years later. This is what I was alluding to in my khutbah, that we have this whole new generation of people leaving Islam, and what I call them, a new class of what we call munafiqun, hypocrites, that are dotting all across the landscape, Muslim landscape here. They act like Muslim, they eat like Muslims, they dress like Muslims, but they're not. Because they want to continue to drive that Audi, They want to continue to have their expensive clothing being paid for. They want to continue to enjoy healthcare, insurance, and they want to continue to go to their colleges and dorms. And who's paying for it? Their parents are paying for it. If they're openly going to say they're an atheist, all that is going to end. So this is called simply nifaq, munafiq. They absolutely have no faith in Allah and Rasul. And they actually lead salah at times at home. I know atheists who lead prayer. Their dads tell me that. You're telling me he's an atheist? I said, yes, he is an atheist. This is all the proof. This is the social media proof. This is his friend's proof. But he's leading Tarawih. Well, he's not a Muslim. He's doing it because he wants to continue to enjoy the $2 million home that you gave him to live in. So this is a class that wasn't there before. A whole class of what? Munafiqun, hypocrites. So this boy, like these other children, are getting infected overnight. So I took a piece of paper and pen and I said, why don't you tell me what are the things that you heard in that debate that made you confused? So I wrote it down, all the things he said. And I took the name of Allah and I did some dhikr and I asked some other brothers to do some dhikr quietly. I texted a few people and I began to speak with him. And alhamdulillah, within 12 to 15 minutes, I had answered all his questions properly, where he felt convinced that what he understood was wrong. I said, are you ready to take the shahada again? Alhamdulillah, he was. What did this tell us? This was a lack of knowledge, right? This is a case study that I love to share. There's so many things to understand from this. Next thing I told him, that was easy in my mind, but that was so easy, right? I was like, well, that's not it. Please tell me there must be something more. He said, there's nothing more. I said, no, there's something more. There's got to be something more. When I pressed him, he began to cry. Then I realized this is where I got to the real stuff. He began to cry, I gave him some Kleenex, gave him a hug. So what's wrong? And it was the third point. What was the third point? Family. He said, I'm sick and tired of the hypocrisy of my parents. They're so well known in the community, they're donors, they're Sunday school teachers, but at home they swear, they lie, they cheat, they use bad language, and we're sick and tired of this two-facedness of our parents. So that's why I am sick of this stuff. This goes to the third point. Alhamdulillah, I helped him with that, gave him certain things. I want to tell you, the reason this kid was so open with me, and mashallah, he returned back the next day, he was driving, his sister was bringing him from 45 minutes, about the distance between here and Dar es Salaam, same distance, from another place. He came back the next day, completed the course, and enrolled in other courses as well. Just about 6-8 months ago, I was in Makkah, Medina, and mashallah, I picked up my phone, and subhanAllah, 5 years later, this young boy, who was no longer young now, he's in college, sent me a long thank you text message, saying that if it wasn't for that day that you spoke to me, I'd be gone. But what did he attribute this to? He attributed it to 10 years ago when I taught this 5-year-old. He was 5 years old, I was his maktab teacher. I was his maktab teacher. I was his evening for 3 days a week to come as his teacher. But it's that relationship that he built with me and I built with him long ago that allowed him to open up to me. While he hadn't opened up to any other teacher all day. He was literally leaving the madrasa without telling anyone that he has become an agnostic. This simply, you learn many things from this story, but one of the things you learn is that our children need to have a loving connection with the scholar, where they can open up to them. They're 5 right now. They don't need that right now, you think. But they will soon become 15 and 25. And at that time, when they're confused, they will not be willing to speak to a scholar. Like those dads and moms who drag kids to bring them to me. And the kid's like a kid, it's like being brought to death or something. Doesn't want to. How do I speak to that if you're dragging him to come to my office? Not going to work like that. You need to walk in happily. Let's have a cup of coffee and talk. We'll do like that. But if you are forced to come speak to me, you're not going to open up and really share what your thoughts are. So this is a responsibility of moms and dads to allow our young sons and daughters to be connected to ulama and female and male scholars. So that whenever the time arises, our children can resort to them. Like we all have personal lawyer, personal doctor, we have to have the personal scholar. And many dads will tell their kids, son, this is my accountant for the past 30 years. Son, this is our family lawyer for the past 30 years. Similarly, son, this is the family imam for the past 20 years. I may not live until tomorrow, but here, you can connect with him or people that he tells you to connect with. Type of thing like that. I think that suhbah with a scholar is super important for our children that we have to provide. Also, just know what I just said in this story. You don't know what your children are watching. You don't know what they can be attending Quran school, Islamic school. But what they watch is so important. Along with sending them to the right schools and making them sure that they're connected to ulama, we have to be wary of what they're listening and what they're watching. And what Hafiz Adisa mentioned, I want to reiterate that. You have how many days of class here? 3 days? full day, right?
Full time, 5 days.
And then the evening classes?
4 days.
4 days. What are the times?
2 to 5 right now, and the school starts 4 to 7.
So 2 to 5 during the summer, 4 to 7. If your child goes and comes back and doesn't learn anything except that he has fun and he falls in love with the teacher, game accomplished, right? Game over. Like, you did a great job. That's what we need to do. We need to connect our children, and not just the little ones, the high schoolers. Bring them to the masjid, to these programs. Inshallah, like I said, this is a detox. No online program will fulfill the void that a masjid can of suhbah and tarbiyah.
And yeah, just a small anecdote as well to reiterate on the importance of what Mufti was saying. Just here in our own masjid, I teach the younger kids in the maktab, and we have our little book. The first lesson, who is Allah, I'm a Muslim, and so on and so forth. These very basic things. So I ask a small child, okay, what's your name? My name is this. Okay, what are you? I don't know. Okay, you're a Muslim. Okay, he repeats, I'm a Muslim. But this is the part that really alarmed me. Who is your Lord? Jesus. I was shocked. And so, alhamdulillah, obviously he's a young child. He's not in any danger of, being held accountable for that yet. But this is so dangerous. Because had his parents not done the right thing and brought him to the madrasa and to the masjid and have that corrected from the very root and snipped out, inshallah ta'ala, we don't want to even delve into what that leads to. So, inshallah ta'ala, as Shaykh said, Mufti said, we have classes here, right? We are trying our absolute best. We have female teachers for the women. I make myself available for the working adults, and so on and so forth. So please, the poster boards outside, there are flyers on the table. If you haven't yet, sign up your children, talk to me about it. I'm more than willing and able to teach anyone and everybody, inshallah ta'ala. And for the women, we have women teachers for them as well. So now we have the next question. How do I motivate my child to do that?
Yeah, so how to motivate your child, it depends, of course, which age group you're in. But one of the best ways to motivate is through the environment. When you start doing something and everyone else is doing something, then it will be easy for the child to do it as well. So it's whatever you want your children to do, put it into action yourself. That's one. Number two, incentivize it. I was surprised when my elderly teachers told me, your son is memorizing Quran, buy him gifts at every Tuesday. So I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't think you were going to tell me that. But they said, no, this is the era we live in. They said, you have to incentivize it, give tarheeb. Because on the other side, Batil is using falsehood, is using every gimmick out there to entice them the other way. You have to entice them to come towards khair, good. A lot of his parents don't do that, and they think, well, this is against ikhlas or sincerity. They're kids, we've got to get them habitual of doing good things. So enticing them with gifts, with honors, with rewards is a great way to get them, inshallah, with that. Third thing would be, take small steps. Instead of doing 1 hour or 45 minutes, for example, small, 5-10 minute break, and then some break, 5-10 minutes. That's why coming to the madrasa and studying in an environment is great. Because you see 12 other kids reading, you'll get motivated to read. Then you'll play around a little bit, and then get back to reading as well. That same thing, doing it at home, might seem a little bit challenging.
Small comment.
Yes.
Ahmed just said, there used to be debate many years ago, maybe still now. Whether we say God or say Allah. So it is more beneficial to say Allah.
No, Jazakumullah khairan. So, small correction on my own part. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll use the proper name Allah instead of God, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan. So now we have another question. So I think these questions are intertwined. You can choose to answer them as you see fit. So the first one is, how do we know if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is radi with us or pleased with us? And what to do when we know our nafs is winning?
وَإِن كُنتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you love Allah, then follow me, meaning follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In order to gain Allah's love, we have to follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The more you and I follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in every aspect of our life, every aspect of our life, Allah give me tawfiq and all of us tawfiq. We have to ask, we have to read, how did the Prophet ﷺ wake up? How did he go to sleep? How did he brush his teeth? How did he wear his clothes? How did he enter his home? How did he interact with his wife? How did he interact with his children? How did he interact with his neighbors? How did he sit down? All of these things we learn, read books on the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, like the book Ash-Shama'il al-Kubra, right? And the books, there are many books called Sunnahs, where you will see how the daily life of the Prophet ﷺ is meticulously been described. The more sunnah we have in our lives, this is the sign that alhamdulillah you've gotten into tawfiq to become the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, about the nafs. The way to challenge the nafs is to basically not cave in. Every single time you cave into the nafs, you have to whip it. What does that mean? You have to penalize it. You have to penalize it by saying, if every time I do something which I know is wrong, I'm going to give sadaqah, or I'm going to fast, or I'm going to pray an extra 4 rak'ah salah, or I'm going to do something which my nafs does not like. And so we have to learn how to penalize our nafs when we have caved into our nafs. This is where we'll end now, because we love salah, where the company of the Suhbah Salihin comes in. When we have, why I went to Turkey was not for sightseeing. I said, I told you, I went to Turkey to spend time in the company of my shaykh. Literally, that's what it was, just spending time. Turkey just happened to be a location. The idea was every day to spend time in his company, to watch how he gets up, how he eats, how he walks, how he does the dhikr, to be able to compare myself to where I need to be, to sit in the dhikr with him, to focus, ask my own spiritual questions to him, how to improve myself. This was a journey of just self-learning. And I encourage every one of us to regard ourselves as in need of that. The nafs, the control of the nafs, comes through the suhbah of pious people. When you have a weak heart, a sick heart, you go to a cardiologist to look at it. Similarly, when you have a nafs that's become strong, the company of the ulama who focus on tazkiyah to nafs, which is called purification of the nafs, that inshallah will give you the tools to be able to push back against the nafs al-annar, that nafs that pushes us to sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us protection from falling into the entrapments of nafs and shaitan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it beneficial incentives and from Allah. We ask Allah to grant us the tawfiq to follow through. The mistakes we made, we seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness for that. We are here after Maghrib. If there are any questions the brothers and sisters have, by all means you can share and ask. If you want to email me, my email is imam.azeem, A-Z-E-E-M, that's A, Z as in zebra, Edward, Mary, imam.azeem@gmail.com. I'm located in Masjid al-Islam, North Avenue, at the right next door. So inshallah, anytime you want to connect with me by email or come visit us, inshallah, hopefully we'll be there of service. And I've connected with Lisa here, Hafiz Lisa, mashallah. So we'll be hopefully visiting your community time and again. Inshallah, I'm ready to serve you in any way. Ask Allah to accept all of you who came here, all those who planned for this event, who brought the snacks and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a salah jariyah for you. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah wa bihamdihi, la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.